You know that feeling. You want to grasp something new, get those aha moments, but without drowning in info.
Definitely. Information overload is real.
Well, today we're doing just that. We're diving deep into something, well, pretty unexpected.
Yeah. What do we got?
The crossover between artificial intelligence and, wait for it, tarot cards.
Okay. AI and tarot. That's certainly a mix. Intriguing.
Right. So the big question we're tackling is, can an algorithm actually, read the cards? Let's jump in.
It really is a fascinating clash from the get-go, isn't it? You've got tarot, this ancient thing, all intuition, symbols, very human.
Very personal, yeah.
Exactly. And then AI logic, data, algorithms. It feels almost, well, opposite.
Completely.
So our mission today really is to unpack this. What's the state of AI tarot now? What can it genuinely do?
And the million-dollar question, can it replace or maybe even just help the human intuition part?
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
Can code replicate that intuitive spark?
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Traditional tarot. What's its essence? Why isn't it just, pretty pictures on cards?
Well, the sources we looked at really hammer home the human side. It gets called an ancient art, an enigmatic practice.
Enigmatic, I like that.
Yeah. And even a Rorschach test for the soul. It's about that connection reader, cards, the person asking the question, the querent.
So it's interactive.
Deeply. And it's not just memorizing meanings. One source put it really well, something like, tarot isn't just about memorizing meanings, it's about the feeling of the cards.
The feel.
The intuitive leap that connects the symbols to the querent's unique situation.
Yeah.
It mentions the unspoken communication, the empathetic connection. That empathy, reading the room, weaving a story that fits that person.
Yeah.
That's vital.
Right. It's like someone just gets what you're talking about, even if you don't say everything perfectly. Now, flip that. AI. Totally different world. Yeah.
Completely different. Algorithms, processing data, finding patterns in huge data sets, logic-based.
No gut feelings involved.
Yeah. None. One source called AI, kind of playfully, a cold, calculating collection of code. A binary soul.
A binary soul.
And it captures it, right? AI calculates, it doesn't feel. Another source said, feed it 10,000 tarot interpretations, and it'll spit out a statistically probable answer. It finds correlations in data.
Yeah.
No intuition in the human sense.
Okay, so two very different approaches. But AI is actually showing up in tarot now. What does that look like practically?
The most common way is apps. AI-powered tarot apps.
Makes sense.
Yeah, one source mentioned there are apps that offer AI-powered tarot readings, promising insights based on the traditional meanings. They can do the virtual shuffle, lay out spreads, give interpretations from their database.
So, like a digital tarot encyclopedia you can consult anytime, but the potential must go beyond just being a handy app, surely.
Oh, absolutely. This is where it gets really interesting. Think about what AI is good at analyzing massive amounts of data, spotting patterns. One source posed this kind of imagine if scenario. Picture an AI trained on millions of readings and then cross-referencing those with, say, the actual life outcomes of the people who got the readings.
Whoa, okay, that's big.
Right. Such an AI, it said, could potentially identify patterns and correlations that might escape even the most experienced human eye. It could find statistical links between card combos and actual events, like big data for tarot.
Uncovering trends no single reader could ever see. That's kind of mind-blowing. Almost like a collective statistical tarot wisdom.
Exactly. And then there's objectivity. Potentially, anyway.
How so?
Well, one source noted an AI theoretically would offer a purely objective interpretation based on the data it has been trained on. So it might strip out some of the unconscious bias a human reader could accidentally bring in.
That's a fair point. You wouldn't worry if the reader is just having an off day. And of course, there's just the sheer convenience factor.
Huge factor. Accessibility, convenience. Like that funny quote one article had, need a 3 a.m. existential crisis reading. AI's awake.
Caffeinated and ready to diagnose your life choices via moon card analysis.
Yeah, I saw that one.
It's always on, it's instant. And maybe some people feel it's less judgmental than talking to a person.
Okay, so there are definitely some intriguing upsides with AI tarot, but let's look at the flip side, the limitations. This is where that intuition versus algorithm thing really bites, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The lack of real intuition, real empathy, that's a huge one. A source asked, pretty pointedly, can an algorithm truly grasp the weight of the suit of swords, the comforting embrace of the suit of cups?
Good question.
Can it sense the subtle anxieties lurking beneath a seemingly positive spread? That emotional intelligence, that human connection, current AI just isn't there. It can process data about emotions maybe, but it can't feel them. And feeling is often what people are looking for.
Yeah, it's like trying to get therapy from a vending machine. It might dispense something, but the connection's missing. And what about the storytelling aspect, the way a good reader connects the cards to your story? Another big limitation. Our research highlighted that. A skilled reader doesn't just recite textbook definitions. They ask questions, watch reactions, weave a narrative that clicks personally. Can an AI truly replicate this level of nuanced understanding? Probably not yet. It's not just about card A plus card B, meaning C. It's the whole picture of the context.
And practically speaking, any risks? Could AI give bad advice?
That's a definite concern. One source warned something like, left unchecked, AI could suggest burn bridges for the Seven of Wands, even if you're asking about workplace conflicts. Without human wisdom and context, data-driven interpretations could be unhelpful, maybe even harmful.
Yikes. Okay, that's serious. Need that human filter, that understanding of real life. And just personally, the idea of a purely digital reading, it feels like something's lost. Less special.
Several sources felt that way. One compared it to meditating in a McDonald's play place.
Huh. Okay, vivid.
It risks losing that sense of ritual, the sacredness, the personal weight that many people value in traditional tarot.
So it really doesn't sound like AI is booting human readers out the door anytime soon, but could they work together? Is there a middle ground?
Now that seems like the most promising path forward. Collaboration. Imagine AI as a kind of superpowered assistant for the human reader.
How would that work?
One idea was, imagine an AI that can quickly access a vast database of card interpretations, historical contexts, even artistic analyses. This frees up the human reader to focus on the intuition, the empathy, the connection, enhancing, not replacing.
Like having the world's best tarot librarian instantly available while you focus on the person. I like that.
Exactly. And then there's talk of hybrid readings. That fun quote again. Hybrid readings. A human interprets the cards while AI analyzes your sleep patterns, Spotify playlists, and that weird dream about alpacas for bonus insights.
Okay, the alpaca dream analysis is still making me chuckle, but I see the potential. Combining AI's analysis with human insight could be powerful.
It could lead to some really unique, deep readings.
But let's pull back a bit. Why do we even do tarot? What's the enduring appeal?
The sources consistently come back to this. Tarot's power was never about magic. It's about meaning-making.
Meaning-making, not fortune-telling.
Precisely. As one article put it, the cards are a Rorschach test for the soul, and AI. It's just a really fancy pen. It's a tool for self-reflection, for looking at things differently.
So it helps us ask better questions about ourselves rather than just giving answers about the future.
That seems to be the heart of it. And in that journey of self-discovery, that human connection, the empathy from another person, that's irreplaceable. Like that one quote said, in the end, tarot's magic lives where it always has.
Yeah.
In the messy, glorious space between the cards and the human holding them.
Wow. Messy, glorious space. That resonates. It really boils down to needing that human touch, that understanding. Now, you didn't just read about this. You actually tried some AI tarot platforms, right? How did that go?
I did, yeah. And it was a mixed bag. First up was Tarot Moon. I asked about finding more spiritual fulfillment. Its advice.
Let me guess. Something practical.
Online dating and speed dating.
Oh, wow. Okay. Completely missed the spiritual part then.
Completely. It zeroed in on connection, but made it purely romantic, really off target. Didn't exactly inspire confidence.
Yeah, I can see why. Bit of a fail. What did you try next?
Next was the World of Playing Cards, which, sounds more like poker than tarot, so my expectations were pretty low.
Fair enough.
But it actually surprised me. Same question, spiritual fulfillment. It pulled the Eight of Swords, and the interpretation felt surprisingly personal. It talked about feeling trapped or restricted, which can fit. And it suggested concrete things like mindfulness meditation. It felt relevant, offered something actionable.
Huh. So better than the dedicated tarot app in that case. Interesting. What was the third one?
TarotReader.ai, this one.
Yeah.
It felt very generic. It gave readings, sure, but the interpretations lacked depth. I asked about finding true love.
Yeah.
It gave some general encouragement about personal growth, which is fine. Good advice generally, but it didn't really connect to the cards drawn or my specific question in a meaningful way. It felt very surface level.
Like a fortune cookie, maybe?
Yeah.
Pleasant, but not profound.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Not very insightful. And then I also played around with ChatGPT, just a general AI.
Oh. How did that handle tarot?
Surprisingly well, in some ways. It could do 3-card readings, give interpretations based on my questions. Still not the depth of a human, obviously.
Yeah.
But it offered potential action steps, encouraged self-reflection.
Any safety guardrails?
Yes, actually. When I tested it with questions leaning towards mental health issues, it correctly and responsibly suggested seeking help from qualified professionals. It recognized its limits there.
That's good. Very important. So, summing up your experiments, what's the takeaway?
It really just confirmed what we've been talking about. AI definitely offers convenience, accessibility. Some platforms show glimmers of potential for offering basic insights. But none of them came close to replicating the intuition, the deep knowledge, the empathy you get from a skilled human reader. That element is still missing.
Right. So bringing this all home, AI and tarot, it's a complex relationship, still very much evolving.
Definitely. Not a simple replacement scenario, at least not now. The limitations around intuition, empathy, that personal connection is still pretty significant.
But the future might be more collaborative.
That seems the most likely and maybe the most exciting path. AI as a tool, augmenting what human readers do, enhancing their work.
And through it all, the core reason we turn to things like tarot, that remains unchanged.
Absolutely. That fundamental human quest for meaning, for connection, for understanding ourselves better, that's not going away.
So while AI can give us maybe a quick snapshot, that deeper, more transformative tarot experience, that still seems to happen in that human space, that personal interpretation journey.
Exactly.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How do we weave technology into these very personal practices without losing what makes them truly meaningful, that essential human core?
It really does. And that's maybe the thought to leave with our listeners. As tech touches more parts of our lives, even these personal reflective practices, what part of the human experience is most vital to protect? How do we ensure tech enriches rather than flattens these dimensions? Something definitely worth pondering.